Hello, I'm Gemma. I am the Regional Manager for Shenzhen and Xiamen. I am from England and I have been working for York for just over 6 years. So I started at York English as a teacher in 2013. I worked at our Rongchao branch. After a year I moved to what was then our Gutian branch. I moved there to be the senior teacher there. Then about 6 months later I became the AC at that branch and I was AC there for about a year and a half. And then I was asked to move to head office to be the Regional Manager of Fuzhou. I did that for maybe about a year, 2 years? 2 years. Sorry, it's all a blur. So I was Fuzhou Regional Manager for 2 years, and then this year I moved to Shenzhen to look after our Shenzhen and Xiamen branches. I felt very settled very quickly when I came here. I felt very at home within the company. After 3 months of being here, I asked Cody if I could stay another year after my first year. So I've always felt very, supported and looked after, like since day one, like being picked up at the airport and then having admin just like look after you, like taking you to the bank, getting your phone, getting your health check done and just making everything seem like so easy for you and not really having to worry about things like that. Having things like the Chinese classes and just having that support, as well as just admin are like the best people in the world and will just help you with anything, like taking you to the hospital if there's a problem with your apartment. They just make life so much easier here and so much more comfortable. Like, not to say like people can't live here without that support, but it definitely makes a big difference. And I think throughout my time here as well, that support's also come from like any of the managers I've worked with. I remember like my first ACs really helping with my teaching and giving me some really sound advice. And since I've worked my way through the company, the support I've received from people from other ACs or from Cody has been absolutely fantastic. And yeah, you never feel, I always feel like if I have a problem or if something's wrong, there is always someone who can help me or I can go to. So I think that's why I've stayed with them for so long. Personally, I feel like that over my time here, I've probably, like I've said, made so many friends for life, which has been amazing. I've got new hobbies and interests that I think if I was still back in the UK, I wouldn't have had the opportunity to really participate in, whether it's just because financially or just not having those resources. I'm really since I've been here, found a real love for hiking and being outdoors, and I think that's down to being in Fuzhou and having Gushan and Forest Park on your doorstep, and then here as well. There's so many places to go and explore and be outside. And whilst obviously the UK has those outdoor spaces, it's quite a different landscape here. So yeah, I've really enjoyed that aspect of being here. Professionally, yeah, I think it's been an amazing opportunity for me to work here. I think I wouldn't have had the opportunities to progress as much as I have had if I was working at a company back at home. I've learned how to work with an array of people, people from different cultures, from different countries, from different backgrounds. You definitely learn good communication skills from working in a bilingual environment. I sometimes have to use my Chinese, which is really embarrassing because it's so bad. But even communicating with people from the US or from Australia or from New Zealand, every country, every region has got slight different ways of talking and explaining things, and so it's been interesting adapting to different people as they come here and learning about them and figuring out how best to help them whilst they're here and help them develop as teachers. After university, I was stuck in a bit of a rut. I think most people after university are. And so I was looking for things to do, and I came across a TEFL course. I had previously taught English during summer when I was at university for another company, and I quite liked it, so I thought, hey, why not do a TEFL course? And there I met lots and lots of people. After I finished doing my TEFL course, I went to Australia for a year, and then I went back to the UK, got stuck in another rut, and so I made contact with two of my friends who I met on my TEFL course, and they were working for York. And they had nothing but good things to say about York, about Fuzhou, about living in China. Were basically like, come to York. And so I came to York, and 6 years later I'm still here. I can't remember being worried about too many things before I came out here. I think, again, because I had friends here already, they were quite happy to answer any questions I had. I suppose my main concern was probably the language barrier. My friends had told me no one really speaks English outside of work, so that can be a bit of a challenge. And I'm okay with languages, but I know Chinese is very difficult. So that was probably my biggest worry, but to be honest, I was so excited about the travel opportunities, being able to meet new friends, from my research and what my friends had said. I knew that I would be able to develop loads as a teacher here whilst I was working for York, and so I think those excitements put my very minor worries to one side. The language barrier still is a constant battle. The time I've been here, I should know a lot more Chinese than I do, but I'm not a very good student. I've just started studying again properly. But it's quite exciting, every day, if you manage to have a conversation with someone in Chinese and have success with it, whether it's going to buy some food or taking a taxi or asking someone a question and being able to understand their response, still get that bit of oh yay, I did a good job. But yeah, there's still worries about that on a daily basis, but luckily everyone here is so helpful. At work, if there was something that I needed where I didn't feel confident enough to speak Chinese myself, I know someone would be able to help me. For the excitement part, yeah, there are still loads of places that I haven't travelled to yet that I really want to, that are on my bucket list. That's why I keep staying longer and longer and longer. And I still get to meet new people every month, every year as new teachers join us, which is really exciting. I get to work with new people all the time, whether it's new ACs or new senior teachers or new teachers. So, and I'm moving to Shenzhen as well. I've been able to meet so many more new people, whether it's within work or even outside of work, because of the bigger expat community. So yeah, still just as exciting to be in China. So many. I just think, I was trying to think about this when you sent me the questions, and trying to think if I could pick just one moment, but I really couldn't. I think just any night where we were where I've been with all of my friends, eating really cheap, greasy Chinese food, drinking crates of beer, and then maybe going to KTV afterwards. Those nights, a few of those are embedded in my memory, and yeah, I'll always remember those. As well, just all the travel opportunities I've had, whether it's been with friends or just by myself. Yeah, those have also been really fantastic. The longer you're away from home, I think you start to worry a little bit more about things that you are missing out on. Every time you go home, it's a little bit more apparent how long you've been away for. So suppose moments like that where like you're missing birthdays or Christmases or anniversaries or weddings and things like that, that's always a little bit upsetting. I think also one of the most difficult things about working in ESL and working abroad is just the constant, I suppose, like revolving door of like people you meet, and so you'll make amazing friends, and unfortunately maybe after 1 year they go, which is like really upsetting. You know you're going to see them again at some point in your life, but yeah, in that moment it's always very sad when people leave. So that's probably the most difficult part about living here. People ask me this question a lot. I find Fuzhou and Shenzhen very difficult to compare. I think they're two completely different cities. For me, Fuzhou will always be like my Chinese home because I was there for so long, and I don't know, I just fell in love with it a little bit. I suppose that like in Fuzhou is where I met like some like lifelong friends, where I like developed a lot as a teacher and probably did most of my growing, not to sound too cheesy. So but I think in Fuzhou you're probably more fully immersed in Chinese culture. It definitely hits you a little bit as soon as you get off the plane. You're like, wow, I'm in China. Like, yes, this is a very Chinese city. It's still quite traditional, I suppose, in a sense. Not to say that Shenzhen doesn't have that same impact, because yeah, there's like high rises everywhere in Shenzhen and it feels very cosmopolitan. But I suppose the main difference with Shenzhen is that I think because it's a more modern city, lots of people who live here aren't actually from Shenzhen, so it's a bigger immersion of different like cultures from within China, but also from outside of China. So whilst there's still that traditional aspect of it, it's not as apparent. You can still find it in like parts of the city, but there's a lot more access to like, I suppose, like your Western commodities. Like if you want a nice salad, it's quite easy to get. If you want a good coffee, there's loads of coffee shops, and I think there's a lot more options of things to do in Shenzhen. Fuzhou, like there's loads to do in Fuzhou, and a lot of the things you can do in Fuzhou, or you can do in Shenzhen, sorry, you can also do in Fuzhou, but there's just more of those things in Shenzhen. So there's more coffee shops, there's more hikes to do, there's more shopping centres to go to, there's more beaches to go to and things like that. So the most impressive places, I've been to quite a few places. I travelled quite a bit in China, so I've been to obviously like Shanghai and Beijing, Yangshuo, which is quite close to Shenzhen, Chengdu and Zhou, which was beautiful. Probably some other places that I've forgotten, but seeing those different cities has been really interesting. I've also got to travel a lot around Asia, so places like Singapore and Japan and Vietnam, Cambodia, Macau, Hong Kong, so Taiwan, so many places. I think the highlight for me is probably going to, I love a beach, so any beach holidays that I've been on, but Cambodia in particular was really beautiful. I got to stay on the beach there and wake up to like sunsets on the sunsets, wake up to sunrises, right on the beach, and did loads of exploring. As well, I got to go to Bali with my sister, which was really amazing. So beautiful there, and yeah, great holidays. Yeah. Where am I going next? I really want to go, I haven't been to South Korea yet, so I'm thinking of going there either over Christmas or maybe during Chinese New Year. I also want to go back to Japan because when I went there I only went to Tokyo and I loved it so much there. I want to see a lot more of Japan, so we'll see. I've still got some holidays left to take. I think my main bits of advice would be to, first of all, like make sure you do your research. There's lots and lots of different schools, different cities, different regions, different countries you can go to before like starting like your ESL journey. And I think finding the right school for you, the right company for you is incredibly important. People come here for so many different reasons, whether it's they want to travel, they want to learn Chinese, they want to be teachers like long term. And I think knowing that before you come here is quite useful in you choosing where you want to go and who you want to work for. And then once you get here, I think just have a completely open mind, like no expectations. The teachers that I've spoken to or like just chatted to before about like adjusting to life in China, life as an ESL teachers are the ones who have said, yeah, I just came here with like no expectations and just ready to kind of like be fully immersed in anything, in everything that happens around me. And so that would be my biggest bit of advice for sure.